Behavior analysis provides a distinction between two different types of behavior. On one side, the more reflective phylogenetic behavior, that which we have due to our being part of a species like blinking, coughing, etc. And the other side in which we learn through consequences. What follows our behavior shapes what we're more likely or less likely to do in the future under similar circumstances. And this side of the behavior, that operant side of behavior, operates on the environment. It's what we call an ontogenetic repertoire behavior that is learned through consequences. Now, we separate them because, well, they're influenced or we learn through wildly different processes under each of these two different paradigms. And if we really wanted to get into the weeds, there's actually a lot of similarities, but that's for another video or really nerdy reading. The point is there's two ways we learn, and learning through consequences had a very important metric that was discovered early on, rate of response. That is how frequently over a period of time we engage in a particular behavior, say per minute, per hour, per day, per week, per month, per year, etc., was the most reliable measure of predicting human behavior. What is also provided was a probabilistic view of behavior. With data, we could predict with a certain level of certainty what someone is more or less likely to do in a particular situation. Now, this probabilistic view of behavior is seen all around you. It's how the casinos structure their betting systems, how social media algorithms predict your behavior, how this showed up on your page. I mean, these things even predict our behavior before we realize it through these witty and scary ad placements. And there's many, many more applications. Much of what we know about this probabilistic understanding of human behavior is within an area of study called behavior analysis. It's the subject matter of this channel. Behavior analysis is the scientific study of human behavior, founded by John B. Watson, expanded significantly by B.F. Skinner, and continuing on today in a multitude of ways, most of which, though, are either locked up into a paywall or have significant barriers to accessing because of the technical language. I've been trying to study this stuff for 10 years, and I just feel like I kind of am getting a grasp of it all. It admittedly took a very long time, much past my 2-year master's degree, to get a really sophisticated understanding of the technical language and all of its applications. Now, the question becomes, if you do not want to go down the route of learning these nerdy science, like getting a master's degree or this technical language, like where can you turn? And one area that I would suggest is actually from a poker player. That's right, not a behavior analyst, but a poker player. Annie Duke wrote Thinking in Bets, Making Smarter Decisions When You Don't Have All the Facts. I recently downloaded it on Audible. There's a link down below. If you don't have an account, you can actually sign up for an account and get a free book with it. Consider this one. Annie highlights how in poker, or really in most of life, you don't have all the facts, and all that you really have are the various possibilities and the probabilities of which they will occur. So through providing easily consumable examples in poker, Annie highlights how we can make good decisions and have bad outcomes, or how we can make bad decisions and still have good outcomes. What in some psychology would call an attribution bias can occur, a cognitive bias that refers to the systematic errors made when people evaluate and try to find reasons for their own and others' behavior. People consistently make attributions, judgments, and assumptions about why people behave in certain ways, and they can be correct or not correct based on the outcomes and our own learning history. Now, what I liked most about this was it provided a pragmatic answer to a fundamental issue that we all face. We won't always know all the information. Moreover, we can't control what everyone else does or how that affects things like the economy, etc. But what we can do is develop a personal process to make good decisions on the information that we can get, the things that we can access. And while the results won't always line up to what it is that we hoped, we can rest assured that we made good decisions with the information that we had. This helps provide a way to identify and counteract things like self-serving bias, the phenomenon that occurs when something good happens and we take credit, but when bad things happen, we blame things like luck. If you want to understand this probabilistic view of behavior and how to make better decisions, or at least how to identify when you may need to be more cautious of your reasoning as to why you may have succeeded or failed, then this book is one that I highly recommend. If you want to explore my favorite book on this topic, you want to get into nerdy stuff, Science and Human Behavior is actually available down below in PDF form from the B.F. Skinner Foundation. And one last comment for behavior analysts out there are some points in which I would point to other works. For example, one model provided by Duke is the framework for better decision-making called Kudos. The area of prosociality in our field, I think, is more comprehensive. However, for a primer on how probability works, and especially disseminating this view of thinking to others, but for a primer on how probability occurs in our lives and the parallels to our own behavioral probabilities and how they're affected, this is a great starting point. I hope you can check it out. The link to purchase is down below, and thanks to the supporters of this channel. You can be one by clicking the link up here, checking out more videos over here, and that's your Daily BA.